Welcome back to the Michael Brooks Show. Joining us now, it's an incredible honor to have her, is Senator Nina Turner. She is national co-chair of the next president of the United States' 2020 campaign, Bernie Sanders. Senator Turner, thanks for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Michael, to be on your show. Really love your work and how you really, you take it to the neoliberals and the establishment type folks on a regular basis. And I just want to salute independent media. We need you guys so much these days.
We need you, and we're all really, really honored by that, seriously. And I want to start by just asking you basically about the state of the race. It was funny. I was in LA a couple of weeks ago, and I managed to go with some good friends to see the senator in East LA. And I was telling we had a friend coming along with us who's an actor actually, and he was, he's not convinced yet. He's doing a little bit of fence sitting, unfortunately. And I said, wait till you see Nina, you'll be taken care of. And then you weren't there, but he saw Bernie, so it was cool. And I think we got him over.
Okay. But I probably was on another assignment at the time, but he got to see the man himself.
Yeah, so that helped a lot. But it feels like there is not only momentum, but steady building, like built to last momentum. Is that a correct interpretation? How does it feel out there?
It really is. It does feel that way. I mean, the senator, as you know, and I know the folks that listen to you and watch you, he's a movement leader. I mean, he is running. This is his movement. Killer Mike said something that was fantastic when we were in the ATL this past week, and he told the senator supporters, "You've already won. Now it's time to collect the trophy." So I can't say it any better than that. We have already won, and it's time to collect the trophy. And what he meant by that is that all of the ideas that the senator brought to life when he announced that he was going to run in 2015 and actually did that thing, he changed the dynamics. He changed what we can dare dream and believe that we deserve in this country. He did that. And so, but for his courage, his conviction to get out there and make it plain that the workaday people of this nation deserve better than what they have been getting, we would not, the Democratic Party would absolutely not be talking about Medicare for all, even though we got half measure folks, and we can talk about them later. We would not be talking about canceling student debt, canceling medical debt, college for all, a Green New Deal, eradicating institutional racism in this country. None of those things. Legalizing marijuana, and not only legalizing it, expunging the records of folks whose lives were forever changed because of the war on drugs, and particularly the damage that has happened in the African American community. So Senator Sanders and Killer Mike said it right. We have already won. Now it's time to collect the trophy, and the trophy is winning the White House and making him the 46th president of these United States of America.
Done. How do we do that? How do we collect that trophy? Talk about this movement, and how do we actually be, I think it's so funny because I think people like us, we don't just fixate on Donald Trump because we know that there's so much more to do, but we also take beating him the most seriously. What is the movement, and how do we do that?
A multiracial, ethnic, multi-generational coalition of people all across this country. Like people from all walks of life, those who have fancy titles and those who are the grassroots leaders of this nation. That is how we're going to win. And I know people get amped up when people like me and, other high-level folks are traveling the country on behalf of the senator, standing in that space. But it really is going to be the people who have the conversations with their neighbors, grandchildren having conversations with their grandparents and their mothers and fathers, their aunties and their uncles, proclaiming to them as to why Senator Bernie Sanders should be the 46th president of the United States of America. This is going to be a movement. He's a movement leader, and it's going to take a movement. Just earlier this week, our campaign became the first campaign to reach 4 million individual donations, making this campaign the fastest grown. No other candidate has done this at this particular time within the time period of a campaign. That says a lot, Michael. What that says is that the people of this nation have already chosen their candidate, and that candidate is Senator Bernard Sanders. So we got to keep those donations coming. We got to keep knocking doors. We got to keep having conversations Social media is a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. It's a great way for us to expand our voice all across the world. But nothing beats good old fashioned door knocking, picking up the phone, calling folks, standing in front of grocery stores and shopping malls. Black Friday's coming up. Let's make it real. Let's do some double duty this weekend and talk to people about why Senator Bernard Sanders should be the 46th president.
Can we talk about the people who are making those donations, the Walmart workers, the Amazon workers, the teachers?
Yes,
talk about that, please.
Talk about them. Starbucks, Amazon, Walmart. Those are the people working at those particular companies. Those are the top 3 donations come from people who work at Starbucks, Amazon, Walmart. And then the number 1 profession that donate to Senator Sanders, teachers. Come on now. What does that say? That these people, our sisters and brothers in these industries, our sisters and brothers in the teaching industry, they know who's going to stand up for them, and it's Senator Sanders, without question. We just got the endorsement of the UTLA, the second largest teachers union in the country, and then right beside them, just about, were our nurses. So I'm telling you, Michael, we're not going to follow nurses and teachers. Who are we going to follow? It's clear who's the champion, and it's Senator Sanders.
Yeah, it's really clear. And can you talk about that disconnect between what you feel and see on this trail and the actual energy of this movement? And I can even feel it just even doing the show and interacting with different people. We just did a live show in Philadelphia yesterday, and several hundred people came out. And believe me, there are people putting in an unbelievable amount of door knocking for Senator Sanders. And then, in the media, we have, conversations about strong fourths and various billionaires and people concerned about this and that. Has there ever been a bigger disconnect between this type of momentum and how the media is talking about it that you've ever seen?
No, not that I've ever seen. And, Michael, it really is the 24-hour news cycle and really the advent of social media itself as a tool. We know people start to campaign a lot earlier. It seems like perpetual campaigning. As soon as you take the oath of office, people are already talking about who's coming behind you. Some of that stuff is very disruptive to our lives. And I think social scientists are going to have a lot to say about some of the fatal flaws in having a 24-hour news cycle and always feeling like you have to be on. But I digress. Listen, that is why independent media like yours and others is necessary, because you give the truth, you give the balance that is not there. When people are touting a strong fourth, when you have Senator Sanders, who has consistently been polling either number 1 in many of the early states, strong number 2, tied, with other folks running in other states, but yet you have people in mainstream media who want to talk about a strong fourth. It is very clear that there is a Bernie blackout. We're not making this up. It is true. All people have to do is roll the tape. And I thank God that Common Dreams actually wrote a story about this with the empirical data for those who want to go visit Common Dreams and look at and read that article and look at the data points. This is not, somebody just making this up. We have the data that shows that no matter how Senator Sanders was just in New Hampshire, Michael, for example, just in New Hampshire, mega people there, union workers there, dancing, right, getting his groove on, letting them know he got it. And do you think the mainstream media covered that? Absolutely not. They did not. So it's very clear that the revolution will not be televised in a traditional way, but it will be televised on the Michael Brooks Show. It will be televised on our individual social media outlets. It will be televised by other independent media sources out there, from bloggers to vloggers. We need all of you to continue to push Senator Sanders, and for folks not to get caught up on what they see and they do not see, because ultimately this race is going to be won in the streets, not in somebody's living room watching the mainstream media. But it is painful because earned media, it does matter to a certain extent. And so it is very unfortunate, just because these folks don't want to see Senator Sanders become the next president of the United States of America, that they will not cover him fairly. All we're asking is for fairness here.
Absolutely. And do you think that we're among other, we must be doing, and you guys absolutely are doing, and the senator is definitely doing things right? Because again, back to that beginning of the conversation, there is things are moving in the right direction. And it is, I mean, obviously Congresswoman Omar and Congresswoman Tlaib and Congresswoman, Ocasio-Cortez came forward and did those tremendous endorsements. But then there was the health scare, and it seemed like, I mean, it's been a glide path up since. And it seems like people are getting re-anchored in just like the basic elements of what's at play here. And I want to know, like, what are people you think responding to most? Is it the consistency and the credibility of the battle over 40 years? Is it the immediacy of the clarity that there's only one person that's going to fight for everybody to have healthcare, to cancel all student loans, to do something about public housing, to do something about rent control? What do you think it is that has really reshifted it? And how can we keep pushing that forward?
Come on, somebody. I mean, Michael, you just laid it out. It is all of the above. If I was taking a test right now, all of the above. That is what it is. I mean, our organizing team, is reporting that we made almost 8 million calls to voters as a team, and that includes may I just shout out our wonderful, tremendous volunteers across this country who are doing the daggone thing. You talk about a grassroots movement. It is not just seen in the type of donations that we receive, but if you think about the woman and manpower that is being invested in terms of time, treasure, and talent to the Bernie Sanders 2020 campaign, almost 8 million calls to voters, thousands of doors knocked. Hello, somebody. I support Senator Bernie Sanders, and this is why, and I'm asking you as my neighbor to do the same thing. And then, as you know, we have a Burn app. Almost 100,000 people are using that app. Over 17,837 volunteer-led events all over the country. 63 million text messages sent. Come on now, and 4 million donations to this campaign. It doesn't get more crystal clear than that. Who has the energy and the synergy and the momentum behind them? Because he does not equivocate. We know that what he says, you can take it to the bank, baby. And that's Senator Sanders, Michael. That's it. That's the movement. That's the only way we're going to win. And that is the only way we're going to get all of the things that you just enumerated, from Medicare for all, to canceling student debt, to canceling medical debt, to the Green New Deal, to legalizing marijuana, to doing something about expunging the records of people who went down on this war on drugs that disproportionately negatively impacted the African-American community, to the senator understanding that money has to go into a pot once marijuana is legalized to make sure that the African-American community is made whole, to our HBCU plan. I mean, you name it, the senator is doing it. He is compelling us to understand this, Michael, and this is the point. We deserve it. Working class people from all backgrounds in this country deserve what Senator Sanders is his vision. They deserve this to be made real. And the only way that it is going to be made real, actualized, is if we all unite behind a leader that has had the courage and the conviction to fight this fight for well over 40 years. You're right. I mean, he was talking about Medicare for all in the 90s. He's not new to this. Right. He's true to this.
You just watched a Michael Brooks Show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.